Hey, Devon, welcome to the His and Her Money Show.
Hey, hello, hi. Thanks for having me.
Super glad to have you because you have an incredible story of paying off an incredible amount of debt. And so we're super glad that you agreed to come and share your story today. But before we get into your story, can you just take a moment and introduce yourself to everybody that's tuned in and let them know what you're all about?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Devon Horace. I'm from Rochester, New York. I currently live in Portland, Oregon now. I'm 25, and as you know, I'm here to tell my debt freedom story. So
Awesome. So let's get into it. You are debt free now, but at one point you were in debt. So talk to us about how much debt you were in and tell us the type of debt that it was and how long did it take you to get free from all of that?
yeah, sure. So I actually was student loan debt was my debt, along with a few moving debts from New York City here to Portland, Oregon. My student loan debt was $37,238.38.
All the way down to the T.
Cents how much I owed. And that was all in student loans. I went to St. Joseph College in Brooklyn, 4 years college, and I accumulated, I want to say, around $10,000 in moving debt from New York City all the way to here, Portland, Oregon, to like get myself started. So in total, it was 47,238.38 cents. But it took me 1 year to accomplish that goal. I got rid of all that debt in 1 year.
That is insane. I know everybody that's driving and listening almost pulled off on the side of the road. Like, wait, what did he say? 1 year? Wow. We're going to get into how you made that happen because I know everybody wants to know. But talk to me about this. You graduated from college and you had student loan debt. Most people graduate from college and have student loan debt. And then you got this $10,000 in expenses to move across the country. And, that's something, but for a lot of people, no big deal. People move all the time. For you personally, what was it that made you say that although this may be quote unquote typical debt that most people have, I don't want it in my life? What caused you to think that way?
You know what? It was more so, in all honesty, I just didn't want to owe anybody. That idea of me owing someone or my money that I work hard for isn't really mine. It bothered me. I was like, oh man, so I'm making all this money or I'm making some kind of money, but I owe Sally Mae, our dear Aunt Sally Mae, right? And I just was upset with the fact, like, man, in order for me to start my life or really start my life, I really have to get this debt, this burden off of me. And I didn't want to be a statistic. I mean, I just was fresh out of college. I am one of 8 single mother household. So I was just like, oh man, like I'm trying to prove myself. I really want to be like not a statistic. So that kind of pushed me and motivated me to get out of debt.
Now, what were these statistics? What was it that you heard, statistically speaking, that you knew you didn't want to be a part of? Because a lot of people are in college right now and think student loans are no big deal. But for you, something told you like this is a big deal and I don't want it.
Well, I don't know the exact number anymore, but there's like a high percentage rate of college students leaving college with an average student loan debt of $40,000, and that's just one statistic. Next statistic, I'm a black man, right? I'm a young black man, single parent household. So that was a statistic like, oh, maybe he's not going to make it or not, right? We don't know. And I'm actually from, Rochester, New York. So I'm coming in that urban area in the hood, so to say, from the hood.
Now, once you decided that this is not what you want in your life and you want to do something about your debt, you had to prepare yourself mentally. How did you do that? How did you, in your mind, get ready to do the work that was going to be required to get out of debt?
Right. So I actually really had to get real focused and really zone in on what I want to achieve for myself. Moving here to Portland, I mean, New York City is crazy. I was living in Brooklyn, New York for 5 years, and it was, speed, work, try to live, work to live, right? And then when I moved here to Portland, Oregon, everything slowed down for me. And if you haven't been to Portland, Oregon, this is a slow-paced town. Everyone is just chill. And I was like, man, I could really slow down and focus in. So I started to, thankfully we have technology. So I started to watch a bunch of YouTube channels and a bunch of inspirational stories. Your channel as well, Dave Ramsey, E.T. the hip hop preacher. So I had to build that motivation in myself. Like, you know what? I can do it. I can really get this done. And then I started to actually break down my debts and see like, well, is this possible? Like, can I look at this in a different lens where it's not so much of a, hey, I owe this like huge amount, but what small victories can I make along the way?
Yeah, and you talked earlier about kind of your environment. You grew up in a single parent household, urban city, and now you're making this decision to get out of debt. For your inner circle, your social circle, what was the reaction from friends and family as you were beginning and talking about doing this thing?
Yeah, so everyone thought I was crazy, right? They're like, "Oh, you're gonna spend all this money, pay debt. You're never gonna get out of it. Just come hang out." Like, "Oh, I'll do this with this money, or I'll do that with that kind of money." And I was like, "Guys, we can't live debt free. We can't be like this. We have to make a change." They're like, "Yeah, whatever. Like, we're gonna have that debt until we die." So they weren't really all on board until they actually saw me start to do it and pay it off. On my Instagram, at D Horace, if anyone want to know where to follow me at D.Horace. Everyone saw my journey happen. So every time I paid off a student loan, I would, make a video, short video, and use social media as an outlet to reach other people who are going through this journey. So my friends and family actually start saying like, you know what? Wow, wait, this guy is really doing it. Like, he's not joking around. And that kind of brought more motivation for myself to actually get it done.
So you got it done. Now talk to us because everybody is like, how in the world do you pay off $47,000 of debt in 1 year? So give us some insight. Let's peek behind the curtains and talk to us about some of the practical things that you did in order to get out of debt in 1 year.
All right, yeah, sure. So I have these little notes, right? I took some notes down. So first and foremost, I like to tell people to take inventory. Okay, so all the debt that you have, make a list. Actually, write out this list, right? It does something to you psychologically when you write down something. So actually write down a list. And if you have student loan debts, every loan is its own kind of category. So like loan one, loan two, to make the lump sum of the loan. Or even with credit card debt, it's like I have this credit card, American Express, MasterCard, whatever. So I basically took a sheet of paper and I wrote down all of my debt, like all of my expenses. And I put them in order from the least amount to the highest, but with the highest interest rate to the lowest. So I tackled it with small victories. I always encourage people to say, hey, not only do you take inventory of all your debt, but also aim for those small victories. Because once you start paying one of those student loans off, you're like, okay, I can start to see it go away, right? I mean, a lot of people see just a whole lump sum of money and they're like, oh, I can never pay off $47,000 all at once. They see the bigger picture. But sometimes you have to kind of cut it or chop it down to make these small victories. Also, I did a lot of selling. Okay, I sold a lot of my personal things like shoes and clothes, and oh man, like I think I sold my iPod, my iPad, and I sold all these things on Let Go, right, on the internet, Facebook. I'm just like, hey, get rid of a few stuff, and that helped me a lot, right? I mean, I didn't get another source of income as in a part-time job, but my second source of income was selling my personal things, my Jordans and everything that, these sneaker enthusiasts call like these hype beasts. They're like, oh, I need that. I'll pay this much money for that. And I'm like, all right, cool, because I need to get out of debt. So I sold like my sneakers and everything like that. And then basic living. I mean, believe it or not, I ate pasta for a year straight. I mean, when I say pasta, I mean, I went to the store and I got a box of pasta. It was $1.39 each box. And I got a jar of tomato sauce, which was $5. So every grocery store visit, I would spend at least $20 every 2 weeks. Now, people used to be like, I don't know how you can eat pasta all day, every day. My girlfriend, she's now my fiance, she came to my house and she was like, "You have nothing in your fridge. You have nothing here." And I said, "Hey, this is how I'm living right now, baby. It's a cold world out here." So just that basic living. I wasn't able to go out with my friends or anything because I was like, that's gonna make me spend money, going out socially, drinks and everything. So I really cut down on a lot of things to make sure and focus in on my student loan and my debts.
Now, when you were selling stuff, that had to be tough. I know, for a lot of people selling things like Jordans and things that are important to them, quote unquote, air quotes, important to them, that's not an easy feat. Was it tough for you, or was it just like, I don't care, I'm getting rid of this stuff? What was that process like?
So it was really tough because I am one of those sneakerheads, those sneaker enthusiasts, and plus I worked hard for my stuff, like everyone else does. So and you want to reward yourself, but it gets to a point where you're like, well, do I really need this, and what benefits are bringing me in? Then once you start to really learn and I guess speak about money, you ask yourself like, well, hey, how much is this an asset or a liability? Right? Is this putting money into my pocket or is it taking money away? So I had to really flip the script and really talk to myself and say, hey, I know these are the Jordan ones, the bread Jordan ones that I always wanted, but like, do I want to get out of debt or do I want to be fly and have Jordan ones? Which one is it going to be? Do I want to get out of debt or do I want to have the latest technology, the latest iPhone? So it kind of had to pick between wants, needs, and what you actually need for yourself.
And when you were selling stuff on Facebook, were you selling them to like your friends and stuff on Facebook, or were you using groups?
Like I will find like sneaker groups or like the community that I was in, and one of the biggest tools though was Let Go. Let Go, that online community, that app on your phone. You just take a picture, and everybody surrounding you in that area, they can skim through and say, "Oh wow, like a table, an iPod, Jordan stuff," and so they'll just kind of instant message you right there on the spot, and you can sell your things quicker that way. And they meet up, and you guys, transaction is complete.
So it's an app called Let Go.
Yes, there's an app called Let Go.
Okay, so we'll have a link to that app in the show notes of this episode, so that anybody wants to check it out and get debt free like Devon did, this might be the tool for you. So now you also talked about pasta for a year. Let's deal with that a little bit. How in the world did you, for lack of a better term, stomach the process of eating pasta for a year? Talk to us about the thought that went into that plan, and how tough was it to stick to all this stuff? You're getting rid of stuff that's important to you. You're eating pasta, you're doing some incredible things. I'm sure that there were some points where you were like, you know what, enough is enough.
Right. There's definitely moments in my journey where it was tough. It was definitely tough. I wasn't hanging out with my friends. I was new to this area. I was new to this state, right? I moved cross country by myself. So it was definitely tough for me, but I was motivated by what I was showing and doing for others, especially for my siblings and my family. I'm first generation high school, first generation college, first generation leave New York State, right? So I knew I was leaving something behind. I'm very strong on legacy. So I knew that me going through these trials and just trying to figure it out was going to project a bigger picture for those who look up to me and those who look towards me for some kind of answers. The whole pasta situation, everyone has their thing. Pasta was cheap. I remember as a kid, my mom used to feed us all like, cool, we're eating pasta. And we're like, again? But it's so simple to make, and it's cheap, and it fills you up. So pasta was my go-to. Here and there, I'll buy some juice or like some snacks and treat myself. Like, you know what? I paid off a student loan this week. I'm going to buy some chips this week. I'm going to buy a cookie for myself. Great job. But it never went over $20. I couldn't spend over $20.
I love it. Now, you talked about the fact that you had a girlfriend who was now your fiance as you were going through this process. So talk about that. Talk about how you wine and dine when you are working your way out of debt. How did you communicate, the situation to your girlfriend and who's now your fiance? Was it tough for her to get on board? Was it easy? Talk to us about the relationship dynamic as you were going through this debt elimination.
Yeah, sure. So, it was basically, I'm very thankful and I'm very, proud I met someone like her. But it was to a point where it was like tag in, like tag me in, tag you out, right? She saw that I was doing this. She definitely wanted me to achieve this goal and accomplish such a thing as paying off my student loans. She paid off hers already, and she knows, what it feels like. And she saw me going through my journey. She's like, any way I can help, let me know. But of course, her being here with me, she's like, I'm not gonna eat pasta every day. So, she would bring in some groceries and cook for us. And, she really motivated me. And she always say, hey, stay the course, stay the course, especially when I got into my darkest moments where I'm like, you know what, this is foolish. I hate paying off student loans. Every time I get a lump sum of money, like, it's not mine. And she's like, you know what, but this is for a great cause. And at the end of the day, you're not going to owe anyone. You're going to be so happy. You're going to make your family happy. You're going to make everyone happy. But most importantly, you're going to be debt free. So she really kept me on the streamline. And I truly thank her for that. So couldn't do it without her.
Does your credit score have you down and looking for solutions? You may just find the answers you're looking for with Credit Sesame. Credit Sesame is your solution for a free no-hassle credit score, credit analysis, and tips for managing your money. They are here to help you take control of and have the tools you need to bring about a bright financial future. Get empowered today. There's no credit card required. Receive identity theft protection up to $50,000 and discover a marketplace for credit and loan officers that will help you get to your next level. Visit hisandhermoney.com/credit sesame for more details.
Now, you mentioned some dark periods, and I want to get into that a little bit more right after this commercial break. Now, Devon, before we went to the break, you mentioned how thankful you were that your girlfriend, who's now your fiance, was there to motivate you and keep you going, especially during some dark times where you wanted to give up. So talk to us about some of the obstacles that you had to overcome, things like when you wanted to give up or some other obstacles that may have popped up and tried to derail your progress. Talk to us about those obstacles and how you were able to overcome them and keep moving forward.
Well, being here in a new place all by myself, like networking and getting out and trying to meet new people. And also my job, I work full time and I travel a lot. So I had to focus on my work and then also focus on what I want to do and the things I want to accomplish. And then sometimes those things butt heads, as well as, just politics in the work community and like, hey, we need you to work on this. We need you to do that, up late nights. And then we want you. And I'm like, oh man, I'm like, well, I'm trying to, put my energy towards myself essentially and like really like get myself debt free. But I'm also giving my job 100%. And then also traveling so much took a toll on me because I wasn't really stable. I couldn't sit down and relax or just paying someone. I hate, I'm sorry to say this, but I hate paying bills. Anytime something takes money out of my pocket, I'm like, I worked hard for that money. I got yelled at. I had to fix things. I had to manage things. And now I have to give this money away. So, honestly speaking, though, to you and all our listeners out there, I did feel defeated at some times and some points because of the statistics, because everything that's out there, like, you're going to forever be in student loan debt and this country is built off debt. And it wasn't really motivating, so I had to keep climbing myself out that dark hole. And my friends and family, especially my fiance, she always helped me with that.
Awesome. Now talk to us about that moment when you made your very last debt payment. Paint the picture for everybody who's in the fight, trying to get out of debt. They want to know, what was that moment like? Okay,
yeah, sure. So everyone just stop what you're doing. If you're doing dishes, folding clothes, playing video games, everyone just stop. Okay, I'm gonna break it down. This is how it went down. Okay. So I called my fiance. I said, love is about to go down. Okay, she started screaming, tears of joy. I said, please, please hold your tears. Let the pain go through first. You know? So after I called my fiance, I got on my Instagram. I said, my people, my oh so beautiful people, it is time to pay off my last student loan. I want to thank God. I want to thank my grocery store that provided the pasta for me. And I want to thank my job for keeping the paychecks flowing in. And honestly, my heart was racing. I couldn't believe it myself. Even when I went to go pay the last student loan, my hands were shaking. I was like, this is no way I really completed this. And, I cried. I just was like, I can't believe I did this in less than a year, in 1 year. It was sort of impossible, but that really showed me in that moment, whatever I put my mind to, it can be achieved. It was just a surreal, still moment for myself. Like, wow, I really did this.
Wow, that's incredible. You talked about that you have a lot of firsts, and you talked about the importance of legacy and how you came up and the what you're trying to leave for your siblings that are behind you and people that you grew up with. What has been the response now from everybody that you did the impossible, that you made it to the finish line? What have been some of the fruits of that in regards to the legacy that you're trying to create?
Well, a lot of people now, reach out to me for advice. I also have a YouTube channel where I give advice and give tips and tools on how I was able to overcome my debt and some things people can follow. My family, they're very responsive for it. They just was congratulating me and saying, hey, we knew you can do it. Even though we weren't always there and we're just across the country, literally, we always knew you can do it. Very, very motivating times for me to continue on to what I want to do and achieve more. So ever since that debt payment, everyone's just been very, very motivating, encouraging, and helping me see more further things in the future for myself.
Now, what is life like now that you're debt free compared to when you were deep in debt? What are some things you've been able to do or some things that are on the horizon that you would not have been able to do had you still been in debt today?
Right. So I never done anything for my birthday. Okay. I really didn't think much for my birthdays. I'm like, whatever, just I'm here. Okay. Happy birthday. When I was a kid, until I turned to age 7, we used to sit in the front seat like, oh, it's your birthday. You get to sit in the front seat for the day. Right. Hey, no one tell the police on us. But yeah, so we used to sit in the front seat, and that stopped at 7. But when I finally paid off my student loans, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going big. Go big or go home. So I treated the fiance. First of all, when I paid off my last student loan, I came home that night. I wasn't supposed to come home. I was out for business. I flew in that night, proposed to my fiance. It was dark and she was like laying, it was probably like 2 a.m. She was half asleep, like mummy style. And she's like, what, huh? And I was like, yeah, would you marry me? She's like, wait, what? Hello, yes. I'm like, all right, cool, right? So after that moment, I got engaged and we booked a trip to Dominican Republic. And that was my first passport, my first stamp being out of the country. And we stayed at a resort for a whole week, zip lining, horseback riding, all the works. And I was like, wow, this is what it feels like to be debt free. Like you can invest in other things. You can take risks because you don't owe anybody. And, you can actually really invest in yourself. So it was an amazing feeling. Still is today.
So what are some new goals that you have set for yourself now that you've accomplished this huge one?
Yeah. So I'm actually in the process of buying a home, my first home. Yeah. If you haven't bought a home or if you have bought a home, for the listeners out there, it's a process, but we are getting it done. I've been dabbling into investing. I've been doing a lot of investing for myself, building wealth and assets in that aspect. Also, I am studying to become a CFP. So I'm going to be trying to get my license to be, or certificate to be a CFP, and just continue to teach the teachings amongst my dear peers and millennials and anybody who need help out there who I can say like me, right? That looks like me, that's my age, that's, that young professional, anyone who needs that advice going into this thing we call life, or this world we live in.
And CFP is Certified Financial Planner for those of you who don't know. So he's going to be all certified up to help you guys make some good decisions with your money in just a minute. Congratulations on that. What has been the biggest lesson about life overall that you have learned as a result of going through the process of getting out of debt?
So I would say the biggest lesson for me was to stay focused and be determined, right? It was more so stay in the course. Even though things you may go through, these hurdles in life, and you may hit a few roadblocks, but if you stay consistent and you stay determined on your goal, it can be achieved. You just have to focus and really give it that 100% of your energy. Now, I know a lot of us, we work full-time jobs or we have other obligations, but treat it such as if, right? Like if you go to work and you're giving 100% there and making your company profits and things like that, go home and do the same for yourself, right? Give yourself that same amount of energy and put that into your growth as a person.
I love it. Speaking of growth, one way to grow is to read and learn and educate yourself. What are some book recommendations that you would give out to people who are trying to grow and mature?
All right, yeah, sure. So I always suggest this book first, The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. It is a short read. It is straight to the point, facts, and it is a great narrative. It basically teaches you how to save money. It basically teaches you the basic structures of money. And it actually have assets in there as well, and actually how to accumulate more wealth is a very, very good book. I would recommend that one first. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That book, hands down, I read it like 3 times. Hands down, that is an amazing book. I would recommend that to anyone. If you want a great narrative and a short read, that is the book to go to. And then lastly, The Greatest Salesman in the World by OG Mandino. OG Mandino. It's basically about a salesman who go through a bunch of trials and tribulations and then finally find out that his work of art and his apprenticeship pays off tremendously at the end. Another short read, something quick you could read on a bus ride, but it's straight to the point. It has so much wisdom, and you can learn so much from them.
We'll be sure to have links to everything that Devon mentioned, these books and the app that he mentioned, Let Go app, in the show notes of this episode. Just go to hisandhermoney.com/podcast. Or if you're watching this video, you can look right beneath the video and you will find the links there. So Devon, now there may be somebody who's listening who heard your story, loved your story. Like they're like, man, he did it. That's so awesome. But then when they look within and they look at their situation, they look at the amount of debt that they're in, they look at their numbers, they're not so motivated. In fact, they're not sure if they have what it takes to do what you did. What words of encouragement would you give to that person if you could talk to them one-on-one?
I would simply tell them, I would say, it's going to be tough. If it wasn't going to be tough, everyone would do it. But once you make it out, you are unstoppable. I will always tell people, and I continue to tell people, the most dangerous person in the world, the most fearless person in the world is someone with options. You cannot control somebody with options. And the longer you have debt and you live in debt, you are short of options. But once you free yourself from that debt, once you free yourself from that burden, it is a burden, you will be untouchable.
I think that's incredible advice. I think that everybody that's listening, I think they're inspired to move forward and keep on keeping on. Now tell everybody how to stay in touch with you. You mentioned that you have a YouTube channel, you're on IG, so let everybody know how they can find you on the World Wide Web.
Yes. So you can find me or follow me on my social media platforms. That's on Instagram, that's d.horace, d.horace. On Snapchat, that is d_Horace. On Twitter is d__Horace. Just D Horace. You can find me everywhere. And then on YouTube, it is Devon Horace, my full name, DEVON HORACE.
All right, this has been incredible. Everybody go follow Devon everywhere and stay motivated. Devon, we surely appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the show and share your awesome story with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.